and welcome to Sam's... Actually, this doesn't feel right.
No. Yeah. Oh, do I get one? Oh,
What? Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling, and this is the Power Rankings, the series where we take a wrestler, female wrestler and a tag team wrestler, and we give them a score out of 10 in 10 different wrestling categories to decide who is the greatest overall talent. We are looking at a tag team today. Sam, we are looking at... It's clearly the New Day, isn't it?
yeah, it's clearly, yes, it is. I wouldn't be surprised if the New Day did something like this, to be fair. I feel very underdressed.
We're looking at Too Cool! Yes. It's September, it's my birthday month, so I get to look at Too Cool. Because I don't care.
I'm really looking forward to what you give the finisher, Sam. I'm really desperately looking forward to it.
Well, the finish isn't the worm, because that's Scotty
I
too
couldn't
hotty.
find that. Well, I'll get onto it, but I couldn't find that.
That's because they didn't win.
Yeah.
They did not win.
Yeah.
I will tell you what the tag team finish is, and you can judge accordingly. It's like my bucket hat.
I love it. I didn't know you had one.
Neither did I. So Ellie Mae has a lot of hats.
She wears a lot of hats.
She wears a lot of hats, mainly annoyed presenter. But before we get into our Too Cool video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's go find out where the Too Cool people land. Tag team wrestling ability, Sam. What have you gone with for Too Cool?
I gave them a 5.
Wow, no.
What?
How
Go on.
dare
You're going
you?
to go lower, aren't you?
No, there are 7 tag team.
No.
Yeah?
This is Santino all over again, isn't it?
No.
This is my... Oh, God.
No,
Explain.
genuinely, the problem is, because they were in an era of everybody else, they didn't get to work as much. But whenever you actually see them actually have a match, where they get to have a match, these guys work really well. They're always going to be the babyface in peril. They sell really, really well. Okay? Scotty in particular sells well. But their tag team moves together is actually really, really good. They always work a dynamic. They know how to get the crowd involved. I know that's a bit more in the storytelling. But from their wrestling standpoint, they're good wrestlers. Particularly if you go individually. Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher, is a good wrestler. Go and watch when he first comes and he's the light heavyweight champion. Well, he actually wasn't, but he was in for it with Taka. They're great matches. Scotty with Dean Malenko, great matches, and they worked really well as a tag team. They are what I would call an underappreciated wrestling tag team because they were all Gimmick. But genuinely, as somebody, I'm going to be the best judge of them. Because I reckon I've watched every single thing they've ever done.
It's about 8 things.
They are really good. They were just never given as much of an opportunity to show that they could wrestle. I generally think that if they came now, where you have to wrestle 15-minute tag team matches when you're in the tag, they'd be so much better.
Interesting. As I haven't seen much of them, as you're quite aware of.
You can only go with gimmicky stuff, which is really annoying.
I put them into the box of, well, basically, most people in the Attitude Era are about a 5 out of 10 wrestling, and that's just the way it was back then. I can upgrade them to a 6, based on what you've told me. This will not be a common occurrence today.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Famous last word.
Thank you. Storytelling ability, the ability to tell stories in the ring. Sam.
This is where I've been nice, so I've given them an 8.
I've given them a 7. There you go. It's ironic. There you go. I've got them as equal as their wrestling ability.
I go just because in the very short space of time, both like length of their run and also length of the segments they would get on TV and their matches, they always got the crowd really involved.
They elicited a crowd.
The crowds really reacted to and it shows you don't need that much time to get a reaction.
These two, particularly Scotty in my eyes, are the epitome of use your time. Chelsea Green's a great example of that. Like, everyone would complain. I remember she did an interview like months ago where she said she got eliminated from the Royal Rumble really quickly that first time, and I was like, oh, you can complain? She's like, no, it's great. Yeah. Everyone remembered I got eliminated, and then I go backstage, talk to the digital team, and I do a thing for YouTube. Yeah. And you're like, genius. That's how it works. Use your time accordingly. So, yeah, for me, I think they use their time perfectly, and they always got a crowd reaction, and they were great at getting that hot tag because of the sympathy they brought, because either of them could be beaten up.
Exactly.
There you go.
So I know we tend to say that 8 and above is kind of main event level, but I think within the tag team realm, I would give them that, because I think if you gave them more time, as you said, they could have a great tag title run.
If you did the 100 greatest tag teams on memorability, they're going to be in there, and I think that's what makes them. You could potentially get 8s in there because people remember who they are.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a shame that they just came into the division at a time when you had all of the best tag teams of the decade.
Well, at the same time, that could have also helped them be memorable. So it's very true. Their promo skills, their ability to talk. Sam.
I've gone 6.
I've gone 4.
Have you?
They cannot talk.
No, I don't think so either. I think the character carries it quite a bit. The Gimmick carries it.
But they don't
get on the mic. It's surprised she doesn't.
Like, I love Scotty too hotty. I am a very, very large fan of Scotty, of the two hotties, of the hottiness. He can't talk very well on the ring.
On the ring.
He can't, let alone on the microphone.
Yeah.
Brian Christopher was a much better promo. But when they were together doing this thing, when they were their heel characters as too much, they were just annoying. And not in you're doing some really good heel heat. It was annoying. It was super annoying. They never really cut anything that mattered because they were all about the dancing. They literally could just move in the ring and stuff like that. But from a talking standpoint, they got nothing.
And I think that's maybe the reason why they were never given a big run.
I actually think
because they didn't trust them to do that. They thought, okay, let's actually show the strengths, but hide the weaknesses, and go. We're going to put them in this box. They work great in this box, but outside of that, they might get a bit over.
They're the perfect team to put against a new tag team where they will get spectacle, the crowd will go, and the crowd will be energized for whoever's beating them. So they're not a great promo. They're a promo.
I saw this in my research.
Move on to their look, Sam.
Oh, okay. Can you go first? Because I have actually. I might change this one.
Yes.
What have you put?
I've gone with their main look, which was the white kind of jumpsuit type things that was covered in the kind of the black lines with the goggles and the hat and the spiked up hair. I've gone with an 8.
Yeah, okay, I've gone with a 7. I think I can stick with a 7.
Okay, I also think it's fair because I also think that when they didn't do that and they kind of went for the kind of jeans and stuff like that, it was a bit basic. So that's why I'm like, if they just wore that black and white get-up, I reckon you're looking at 9s or even 10s.
Yeah,
because it's such a cool look.
So I think I went, it's not main event, but that's not really the rule in the tag team division, exactly.
There's only ever been one main event tag team match properly in the history of WWE, let's be honest here, from the tag team division. Yeah. And even then, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn tag team. But their gimmick, their look, even when they wore the jeans and the top stuff, it worked with what they were doing because of the hip hop stuff. I preferred their black and white thing. I thought it looked really cool.
It's all incredibly early 2000s MTV, isn't it? Which is great. I think it's great leading to the time. Right.
They look like Guy Fieri. That's all I'm saying. Permanent Guy Fieri.
Pretty much.
I think 7 is fair. I think 8 is fair, depending on your view on do you care for that main look or do you care for the kind of jeans-esque look?
Yeah. So I'll stick with this.
I think that's fair. We move on to their entrance, Sammy boy.
How many of you give it? I think you've gone 12, but I've gone 9.
I've given it 8. I have given it 8.
Oh, because it's such a it gets a crowd going. It's a tune.
I mean, it just Turn It Up has nothing to do with them. Everything now has to say the person's name or their catchphrase. Turn It Up isn't their catchphrase. It's the idea of turning the music up because they dance and then coming out and dancing. Loved it. Weirdly. I think the only reason is because I just look at it and went, I can't give it a 10 or a 9 because I don't.
You're a wrestling purist integrity.
A little bit.
He says as he wears the silly bucket hat.
That's the funny thing is in my brain goes, at some point they have to tell a serious time, right? And I just think back to the Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole feud.
Oh, no, Sam.
No, and I'm using this as an example. So this doesn't count for them, that's why I'm not, but I'm using it as an example,
just don't say it anyway.
They brought back Brian Christopher in that horrific segment where Brian Christopher couldn't talk properly, but he came out and danced to his Too Cool Thing to utter silence because it's a serious thing, and he's going.
Well, also there were all 5-year-olds in the audience who didn't know what was going on,
and it was so awkward. And I went, if you ever have a serious moment, and the guy come out, they look stupid.
Oh, it's no good.
So I'm going with an 8. I want to give. If it was Scotty on its own. I might go with 9, but as a tag team, I'm going to go with 8. I want to go with $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I factored in Rikishi's kind of theme that he took away because that was their first one, and then they turned up, which I think were both really good.
Rikishi isn't included in this. We are talking Scotty and Brian Christopher.
The
Scotty and Rikishi were an own tag team technically, so that we would actually rank them separately.
Yeah, but I've kind of taken that a little bit into account, just a little bit. Yeah. And it makes me wonder. I think Jim Johnston is so. I ramble about Jim Johnston.
God, how is he? But how good is he?
I know, but he is a big part of why this team got over.
Yes, he is.
And I just think it's such an underused medium now in wrestling that we don't have really.
Well, look at Lyra Valkyria for ages. Lyra Valkyria is personalityless. Brilliant wrestler, but she hasn't got a personality. They give her a great theme, which everyone crowd get involved with, and then suddenly she gets over. You're like, she hasn't done anything to get herself over outside of being good in the ring and having a theme. She's missed the fundamental bit, but because she has a thing that you can just grab onto,
a live crowd can enjoy.
There you go. Very simple.
Yeah.
We're looking at their work as a heel. Bad guys. Do you even have any memory of these guys being bad guys?
I barely have any memory of them.
Yes.
To be honest.
Have you ever seen them when they were like almost too much, is what they were called, and they were heels when they started?
No, like I've seen a bit of stuff. Like looking back, I've gone and watched some Attitude Era stuff that I've happened to see them in, but I've had to do quite a bit of research.
Yes, of course. It's out of your realm.
Either about 2 months old or no months old in this run.
To be fair, when they debuted, I think I was 7.
Yeah, well, there you go. So minus 50 months old or something. But I've gone with a 3 for the heel work.
I've gone 5 because they still elicit heel reactions by being the annoying heels. But I think if you're the annoying who's getting heat from people going, oh, God, you can't go any higher than a 5.
See, this exposes me because even in my research, I didn't know that they were heels.
Yeah, when they debuted, they were. They were like big smiling kind of, but smiling in a kind of that kind of. It wasn't great. They were the heels against like Al Snow when Al Snow had his Al Snow and Head gimmick, and they famously beat Al Snow and Head in a tag team match. Do you know how they beat Al Snow and Head in a tag team match?
Did they pin Head?
They did pin Head, but how can you pin Head? It's just a head.
His shoulders aren't down.
You said a magical word. They got a bottle of Head and Shoulders, attached it to the mannequin head, and pinned it.
That's genius.
And that's why they get a 5.
That's actually good. No, you're not 5. 5 for that. That's quality. That's incredible. That's genius.
5 it is. Their work as a babyface. Sam.
I've gone 7.
This is where I've gone silly.
Oh, you haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't, Sam.
Yeah. I've given them a 10. And my thought processes are, if you're just looking at the good guy work and the tag team division, the responses they got are huge. And I know we're going to talk about that when we do Over, but they got that because of how good a babyface they were. And they are literally, for a mid-card act, if not a jobber act, right? The perfect 10 out of 10 for a job. If you're like, if you judge, you can't judge it on scale, because then we just have to put every jobber tag, everyone has to get 2. You're not allowed to do that, right? If you went, I want to create a kind of jobber / over tag team who could occasionally get the odd moment. Think like the B team of, sort of thing. What type of babyface do you want them to be? This is it. They put over every team, and yet they never ever lost reactions.
You are correct.
Imagine losing pretty much every match you do, and you still get all the reactions.
I agree.
That is incredible. They did a worm dropping an arm across someone's chest. And it's probably the most over finishing move of the Attitude Era that isn't the People's Elbow.
I will agree.
I
realised that I said bumping up my score wouldn't be a thing. I can bump it up to an 8 potentially, but with the caveat. Yeah, that's what it should be.
Yeah,
you know it.
So I don't. In the same way that you think the Cobra is an 8 out of 10.
No, I don't think that. I know.
There you go.
It's an 8 out of 10.
I think from a babyface lower mid card tag team to be getting the responses they do, they're very good at facing power. They take moves really well, so much so that people are still behind them at all times. That if they won the tag titles when they did, they got a massive cheer.
Agreed. However, they are doing this in the midst of the Attitude Era.
Does help.
Most of the crowd are drunk, Sam.
You are true.
It does help.
Don't get me wrong. Agreed.
Yeah. So I put them in 2011, or
Fine.
Yeah.
How about a 9? Would you accept a 9 from myself?
Ultimately, what we're doing is we're moving me from a 7 to an 8, and you from a 10 to a 9. So in our negotiations, we've changed nothing. But we have changed everything.
It matters. Gimmick and personality. Sam, come on.
Oh, I've given them an 8.
I've given them a 9.
Vince.
They're a dancing 9. They're a dancing gimmick, which Vince loves, and it worked.
No, it didn't
Vince was there going, I will do this for the rest of the next 20 years, and someone will be Scotty too Hotty,
Clay,
and they will never ever reach dancing gimmick level again.
No, apart from Fandango, of course.
But it works so well from these hip hop guys, which is so on brand, it's on trend for the era, and you have to take that in consideration. That was the problem. The Attitude was the only time they've actually hit the zeitgeist, and not just with the anti-establishment. So I was like, no, you also have a hip hop culture that was coming in as well, and weird white guys doing it.
Yeah,
and they're like, that works, and it covers so much because of the gimmick. They have so much personality. The only reason I didn't give a 10 is because I can't cut a promo to show that personality off.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the 8. I've already moved far too much in this video. So.
Over and a draw.
I also went 8.
10.
You're joking, man.
Are you telling me they are not? As again, I'm going to refer back to a lower card jobber tag team. Are you telling me they aren't one of the most over tag teams in the history in the history of WWE. Name me tag teams that are more over. You're talking the greatest tag teams of all time. So I don't think there are many who got as big a reaction. And that coming from losing all the time. Every time Scotty did the kind of weird bulldog press thing, the crowd went ballistic. So much so, how many times have they brought Scotty to Hotty back?
No, I know, and you're not wrong, but a 10's a bit wild, so.
I think in the tag team era where we're on a curve.
If the Hardy Boys are a 10,
I agree.
Are they the same level as the Hardys?
Yes.
You're wrong.
As an over.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're that far away.
And also, you're talking about, it's not over in a draw. They made money
yeah.
as a gimmick. How can you make money and you want the bottom of the totem pole?
What I will say is, did it have the legs?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to play the
Scotty, Torton, and Rikishi were tag team champions in 2004.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they were as over. Were they as over? I don't know, you would know.
WrestleMania 20, they actually got to do the dance again at Madison Square Garden. They just carried on and everyone still responded. It wasn't to the same extent, but it showed you that it had legs enough to at least be a few more years, and that wasn't without Brian Christopher.
I'm sticking with the 8. Your 10 is a bit ridiculous, but I mean, this is your little Santino moment.
It's my birthday month.
I'll give it you.
We always should end on a finisher, a tag team finisher. Now, you don't know what this tag team finisher is, do you?
Well, I looked for it far and wide. And
so,
find it
what it is it like a bear hug?
Oh, good
right?
start.
Yeah. That you then kind of drape like that. So you're holding the person in position in a bear hug. And then the person does the leg drop off the top rope.
Like a Rough Rider?
Kind of like, no.
So you get them like
horizontal. They are horizontal, yeah. They're parallel with the ring, so you're holding them up.
Oh, no, I think I've seen that. Yeah. I saw it in
it's not the best finishing move. It's very cumbersome. You can't do it quickly.
There's a lot of setup, isn't it?
It works with Brian Christopher's leg drop, because he has got the leg drop finisher. Tennessee Jam.
Wait, so is Scotty too Hotty the one lifting them?
They've actually swapped between the two of them, but usually Scotty is the one holding them. That
doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Do that with Ray Dudley.
That's why they can't do it. That's why they don't win.
Yeah.
So I've given it a 6, because when they could do it, it's a decent-ish looking move, but it's very cumbersome. I actually would even drop it down to a 5, to be honest.
I was going to give it, because I thought it was the Worm, because I just assumed it's one of these teams that don't win enough to have a tag finisher.
And the rules are, if they don't have a tag finisher, you can't get more than 5.
Yeah.
We did agree that.
I forgot that, because I gave the Worm an 8.
Yes,
however, now I'm going to compensate for myself moving these scores
I knew you do forget our rules sometimes, but the rules are, if you don't have a tag finisher, you can't get more than 5, because you can't just go, well, Stone Cold Triple H had the stunner, and you go, well, that's not fair. That's not a tag team.
No, but I know, but it's so synonymous with Too Cool. However, yes, but I think I would give their actual tag finisher a 5.
I think 5 probably is right. So we come to the overall score. Sam, what have you given our Too Cool?
69.
Oh, your favourite score to give?
I don't know why, it's not on purpose.
You do it so often.
As we see it, that's never the score I plan. It's just what ends up happening.
I gave him 72, so even in my insane scoring, technically, you can't say I wasn't fair as well, because I gave him things like 4 for promo and
there
stuff.
There were a few 10s in there that shouldn't have been there.
No, over. Which gives them an overall score of 141, which slots them on our tag team leaderboard into 4th place, which out of all the tag teams we had, I would probably say that's about right.
They've done well to get up there, considering how brief they were there, the fact they didn't really get pushed much. They've done well.
They were a lightning in the bottle group that lasted longer than they had any right to, and were always a decent hand to be used. So I loved them. They're one of my favourite tag teams, but they're one of my favourite wrestlers of all time. But what do you think of our Too Cool tag team? How much reflective light has happened in these sunglasses for the entire
I've looked
video?
At you, I have seen myself very clearly. I've done my hair.
So I have no idea how this will look, so sorry if all you've been distracted by is the beauty that's in my glasses. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we will see you next time for another power ranking video. Bye-bye.